Hi there, I'm Julie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to be making a Halloween shaker using an SVG file and my Cricut Maker. And if you'd like to see the whole process from start to finish, grab a comfortable chair and let's go. I've launched Design Space and I'm on the home screen. And the first thing I need to do is click on Canvas. Now I'm going to click on the upload button. And I've actually already uploaded my shaker files here, so I'm just going to go over and pick the one I want to work with, and it's the Ghost. So I'll click on that, highlight it in green, and click Add to Canvas. Now, if you're not sure or don't know how to upload an SVG into your Design Space account, I'll have a link down in the description of the video so you can go and learn how to do that. But for right now, we're just going to pretend you already know that. And I'm going to come over here and you'll notice this comes in as a grouped item. So it's all grouped together as one unit. This grouping function only works on the Canvas page. It doesn't work on the matte preparation screen or anything else. It just works for this space right here where you're kind of manipulating things and moving things out of your way and stuff like that. So I'm actually going to ungroup them. Whoops. Okay, ungroup. There we go. So I can work with them one at a time and talk to you about what each of these components are. This is the back of my shaker. This is going to be the very top layer of my shaker. And this is the acetate. Now I am going to relabel that. You can double click there and change the name. And I just do that so I don't forget. That's going to be cut from acetate. And I've got two different face options here. I'm going to hide one of them. You can hide things by clicking the eyeball icon here in the layers panel. And what it does is it just, hides it so that it doesn't cut it. So anytime you want to keep something there on the canvas, but you're not ready to cut it or you don't want it included when you move to the cutting screens, then you can hide it like that. You can also delete it, but then, if you wished you still had it, then you gotta go back and get it again. So I was like, hide it. And let's see. Oh, these are the shaker shapes. Now, sometimes you already have the perfect shaker shapes and sometimes you don't. A lot of times I just buy a lot of iridescent shaker shapes and use those in basic shapes. And then I love having shaker bits that are kind of customized to what I'm doing. So I thought it would be fun to have these little tiny pumpkins for this particular shaker box. So I'm going to be using these and cutting them from orange cardstock. Now this is something I want to do that I often do with my Word metal die cuts, crafty cuts. And I'm actually going to duplicate this two times. And I'm going to make them different colors. So I'm going to take this latest one down here and I'm going to, or the first one, the original, I'm going to change it to orange. And then this was the next duplicate I made. So I'm going to click pink and then I'm going to leave this one black. And the reason for that is I am going to, when I die cut them out, I am going to layer them. It's not uncommon for folks, card makers, to kind of multi-layer, multicolor layer their sentiments. And it's really fun. It's a fun look. So if you ever want to change the order of these, you can, click and drag that in the layers panel, or you can click it and then go over here to arrange and tell it to send backward. So I'm going to send it backward. And I want it to go one more, so you can also do like send to back, sends it completely to back. So backward, it moves it one layer back, and send to back takes it all the way to the back. So that's all the way to the back. Now, if you just want to keep these things together, you can always bring that, back up here. It's not a big deal. Okay, so basically the reason I'm doing this is to show you, I'm going to move that. I want the pink on top of the orange. So this is just to give me an idea what this is going to look like when I do the actual cutting. So I'm just kind of pre-planning here what I'm doing. All right. I am going to group those so I can just kind of move them around here on the canvas without having to worry about them being all over the place. The next thing I want to do is grab this frame, and this is going to create the sidewalls of my shaker box. And I'm going to duplicate that 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to hold my shift key down. At least that's what it is on Mac. I don't know what it is on PC because I haven't used a PC in probably 3 decades. So I'm going to hold down my shift key and click on each one of these 5 duplicates I made, and I'm going to group them together because I am going to be cutting these out of heavier cardstock than I'm cutting these out of. These will be cut out of 80-pound cardstock, and these will be cut out of 110-pound. And I'm going to change the color, and the reason for that is if I leave them all the exact same color, then Design Space automatically takes everything by color and throws it all onto one cutting mat. But I'm using 2 different cutting settings for each of these layers. So I want to make sure that this goes on its own mat so I can set it to 110-pound cardstock or heavyweight cardstock. And this will go on to its own mat because I want to cut 80-pound cardstock with that. This will go on to a separate mat for acetate. And then, like I said, Design Space is going to automatically take everything that's like orange and it'll group them together. So when I hit Make It, I don't want to save it right now. Here you can see all of these sidewalls for my shaker box are on one mat, and the actual top and bottom, which I'm going to cut from 80-pound cardstock, are on a separate mat. Okay. So now I'm going to come back up here. I like to arrange things manually. Design Space throws everything in the upper left corner, and it will automatically try to conserve your materials, but sometimes I can do better. So I like to do it manually, and I like to do this before I get to the actual doing it for real. So I am going to kind of rotate things around. You can do this however you like. You just want to make sure they don't cross over, because if they cross over, one is going to get cut into the other. So I'm just going to space them out like that. We'll take this one, spin it around. And you'll notice that I can't go beyond those red lines. And my 110-pound cardstock is 8.5 by 11. So I can't go past this 11-inch mark. And I can't go past whatever would be, 8.5 going up this direction. So this is going to get rotated around like that. And I like to take all my intricate shapes, even though Design Space throws them up here. If I want to double check by pulling up the paper to see that I got a clean cut, it's really hard to do that if everything is up here. If it's down here at the bottom edge, I can access that manually to double check if I got a clean cut. So that's why I move anything intricate down here towards the lower end of the mat. And this is going to fit perfectly on an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock with a little bit of room to spare. Okay, so I like to set things up on these screens here before I move to the actual cutting, and so I'm just going to do that. I'm going to move this down. These are going to get cut on 80-pound cardstock, like I said. Now, is this maximizing more of the paper? Well, maybe, maybe not, but I feel better about it. Then I'm going to take these guys and I'm going to do something a little bit different. Now explain myself here. I'm going to move this down to the lower right corner. I'm going to take the little face pieces and move those down. So all of this, like I said, don't let them cross over, but I'm moving that to the lower right corner. Then I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it down along the bottom because this is an intricate cut and I want to be able to double check by lifting the paper before I unload. So I'm going to put that right there, just a smidge to the side of the 4-inch grid mark. There's a reason for this. I'll explain it in a minute. And these orange guys, I'm going to bring these down here, and I'm going to take this and rotate it around like that, just to kind of get as tight as I can. There we go. Now, the reason that I do this is because I'm going to actually put 3 different pieces of cardstock onto one mat, and because they're scraps, and I don't want to have to cut each of them individually and then reload new paper onto new paper scraps on there. So I'm gonna kind of play it smart and make better use of the mat. by putting all of these onto one mat. Since they're all 80-pound cardstock, they're going to do just fine. So I am going to take this one. Oh, let's grab both of these, and I'm going to click on the 3 dots there and say move object, and I'm actually going to move it to the black mat. So really, I'm going to have a scrap of cardstock down here that's orange, and it will get placed right here on my mat for reals. So even though the screen here is showing black, it doesn't know that I'm going to be putting different colors of cardstock all on the same cutting mat. Then I'm going to go to this pink one, and I'm going to hit move, and as I move it to the black mat, confirm, and there you see it's lined up exactly where I had put it when I was planning ahead, you know, the colors I was going to cut these out of. And then I've got the boo over here. And then my acetate, because I have to use an acetate setting for the cutting, I'm just going to leave it on its own mat, because I can't put acetate as a setting when I'm doing 80-pound cardstock over here. So I hope that makes sense as I move on. So I'm going to move over here to the next screen, make sure that my machine is connected. Okay, so I'm going to click on this screen right here because this is where I want to start. And I know that on this mat, see where everything's placed, I am going to use heavy cardstock. So I'm going to click that one right there and go ahead and start the loading and the cutting process. Next screen, I'm going to be cutting the frame and the backing for my shaker, and I'm going to be using 80-pound cardstock. So I have my scrap of cardstock lined up on my cutting mat, and I'm going to switch this setting now to medium. Oh, not medium. Let's go to cardstock for intricate cuts. That works pretty good on 80-pound and 65-pound cardstock. So I'm going to remember my material settings for now, because when I go to this next mat down here, all of these are going to be cut from 80-pound cardstock. Different colors, but still 80-pound cardstock. I'm on the black mat, and I'm going to use the same setting, the 80-pound or intricate cardstock, intricate cuts cardstock, and then I am going to load one mat, and I'll show you a picture over here on the right that I took of my physical mat, so you can see that I have put orange cardstock, pink cardstock, and black cardstock in the position where these cuts are going to go on my real life mat. And then you'll get, wow, how this just kind of saves me a little bit of time from having to unload, reload, etc., etc. On the last mat, which has my acetate piece, and I need to change my materials setting. So right now it's on cardstock for intricate cuts. I am going to choose acetate. Now, if you don't see a material that you want, just click on this and then go over here to browse all materials, and you can go through all the different categories or type in here to find what you want to find. But I've already got it marked as a favorite, and so it's showing up right here. And I'm just going to choose that and then go ahead and run the cut. Okay, at this point, now that the machine has finished its cut, I need to double check to make sure I got a clean cut. And that's true whether you're working with acetate, you're working with cardstock and paper, you're working with vinyl. It doesn't matter. You want to double check to make sure you got a clean cut. That means do not hit that unload button at this point. You want to come over here and lift a corner of your material. And this is why, especially on intricate cuts, I like to have my cutting occur down here on the lower end of the mat. It's really easy to get in here and see that I got a clean cut versus trying to lift up over here to see if I got a clean cut. And then if you're sure you got a clean cut, you can hit the unload button. If you did not get a clean cut, hit the C button and it will cut exactly where it cut prior. Another thing I wanted to mention, no matter what material you've been cutting on your mat, whether it's acetate or vinyl or cardstock, you always want to flip over to the reverse side of your mat and pull the mat away from your paper or your material. And the reason for that is if you don't, if you just pull straight up, it's going to warp or curl. And you don't want this material to curl because you want to be able to use whatever was left over again. You also don't want your project to curl. So I'm going to flip this over and just show you when you get a bend, you don't want to fold it, you just want to curve it or bend it so you can get underneath it there with your fingers or your tweezers or whatever it is you're using to lift this off the mat. You just want to curl it or roll it like that so you can remove it easily. So I've got the back of my ghost, and I also have the one of the side walls that's going to get built up, and I'm going to stack these and glue all of them onto this base piece. And I like to use the Barely Art Precision Craft Glue. You could try using tape runner, but these are so skinny that it's really hard. This just goes much faster. So I'm just going to go around the perimeter. And for some people, it's like, well, you don't want to have any gaps, so it's easier to do a bead of glue to make sure you don't have any gaps instead of little dots. If you're just layering pieces, then little dots work, but you might want to have a full-on bead so you don't have any of your shaker bits escaping. So I'm going to go ahead and get the first one layered on, and then I will repeat this process with the other 4 side walls. So I wanted to get my my boo glued on. Tweezers are really handy for stuff like this because my fingers are always so clumsy. Now I'm going to actually offset this just a hair because it's a fun look to have that bit of color peeking out. You can take an acrylic block or a paperweight and set that on top. If you're a stamper, we all have these acrylic blocks, and you can just kind of put that on top and weigh it down until you think it's dry. I'm going to grab some of the pumpkin shapes that I've already cut and toss those in there. Sprinkle a little bit of these in there and a little bit of these. These are really cute too. Sparkly. Those are kind of silvery, and these are like iridescent, and they're super tiny, and I love using these in shakers. I even have some black stars. Ooh, I should go look and find those and add a couple of those. Yay! Just a little bit, just for fun. I love that look. And then if you have some, you can also take like chunky glitter. I don't like to use really fine glitter in my shakers. I like to use kind of chunky glitter. I think it's just kind of keeps all that sparkle and magic going on in there. All right, I think that looks good. You don't want to overfill it so it's so full that the stuff gets just stuck. So I'm hoping I didn't overfill it and get too crazy. Okay, the next thing we need to do is get this piece on. So I'm going to set this over here for a minute. I'm going to talk about this little guy. Okay, so this is our acetate, and I learned this trick that I was like, oh my gosh, that is brilliant. I had no idea you could do this. A lot of times my acetate will have static electricity, and this stuff will cling to it before I can even get it on. And I found out you can use Windex of all things. I got, window cleaner. And I'm just going to wipe it down both sides. But this, I don't know why it does, but it reduces, there's a science reason. I know there is. But it reduces that static cling, makes it a non-issue. I was like, what? Okay, fumble. We can go ahead and get that glued on there. Now, I know for some people, glue is really hard to work with, but I find that it actually works. This glue works really well. So I'm just going to go ahead and be very careful that I put a very fine bead of this glue. And it goes on white, but it dries clear. But you're going to find that your acetate kind of slips and slides a little bit. So just kind of, take it slow and don't get crazy with the glue. And sometimes it helps to use your tweezers. The other thing I really like is that if I do get a little bit heavy-handed and the glue squidges out, it dries clear. So I'm just going to tap around here to get the glue to kind of squeeze out to the edges and create a tight seal. And in case I didn't say this, I can't remember if I did or not, I always design my acetate pieces to be just a hair smaller than these cardstock layers so that the acetate edges don't hang out the edge of my shaker. I've got big blocks. I got big blocks and I cannot lie. So I'm going to put that right there, and I'm just going to let it sit. While I'm waiting for that shape to dry, I've taken one of the inserts that was left over when we cut out all those frames, and I'm just going to use it as a little bit of a guide to determine where the face is going to go. And then I'm going to take a piece of washi tape. And I've already taken this off the roll and I neutralize it against my arm, my inner arm. And that is so that it doesn't have so much tack that it tears the paper when I'm trying to release it later on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and place that right over the top of these little guys. And then when I pull it up, I'll have these all ready to go. And again, I'm going to do a really fine bead, as fine as I can. It's already underneath the plastic. Okay, so let's move this over here. I'm just going to press down on that all around, make sure it's secure. If you want to, you can put an acrylic block or a paperweight on top of it again. Okay, this is looking good. I love it. Okay. Yeah. All right, so now I got the face. I'm going to grab that. Go ahead and get glue on the back. And again, I'm just putting little dots because I don't want a lot of this smearing out onto the plastic, because just put as much as I need. And the nice thing about using the washi tape like this is you can put everything down at one time instead of one at a time, and it'll hold it there in place. And you can just let it dry just like that. And then you can use the same method to put glue on the back of this guy right here and lay that down where you want to have it. So I'll do that in a minute. I just need to give this a little bit of time to set up. Whoa, yeah. Okay, I just wanted to show you how cute this guy turned out. Look at all those shaker bits, the little pumpkins. I think I put a little too many pumpkins. I probably should have saved half those pumpkins for another shaker, because they do kind of get stuck because there's a little too many of them in there. But still, it's like, oh, so stinking cute. And I just wanted to show a couple other designs I've done. This is a really fun one. It's a poison bottle. Eek! And I've got a pumpkin shaker, little jack-o'-lantern. So sweet. My granddaughter Elizabeth is going to love this one. And here I've got a witch's brew kind of pot with little bones and bubbly stuff going on in there, but super fun. You could put these on cards. You could put them on packages as tags. I think they're super, super fun. And even if you put you could put magnetic strips on the back and stick these on the refrigerator. They're a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoyed and got some good tips. And we'll see you in the next one.